Hello, Sebastian. I can see your screen.
Okay, so let's start. We just wait for that. First, let me check last week's meeting because I think nobody pulled the good to go ones. It was weird. Actually, the video was playing. I was talking. This is something I said last time, and the video was playing. I'm like, okay, nobody understood what happened, but I went someone. Okay. I what did I click on? Read more. Again. Where did I see the summary of this thing? This is it?
This is all the notes, yes.
Okay, I thought that would be a page. Okay, so we just need to get these ones applied.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you if we deal with any pull requests, please paste the URL into the chat, so it's easier for me to, compile the notes.
Okay, so I pulled them. Okay, I didn't know. I thought we had not done that. So okay. Let's see. Zoltan is not here. It's
Yeah, I
fine.
think him on Skype.
To be faster. So where do we start? Pull request first? Last time, what did we do? We did some pull request and after triage? Can't remember.
Yeah, that's what we did. Pull requests and bug triage. Or was the other way around? Huh, can't recall. Do you remember, Benedict?
Sorry? What was the question?
Do you remember whether we started with pull requests or started with the bugs?
No, we
started with triage last
we
time.
did bug triaging, yes. Around 15 of them, and then we reviewed like 5 pull requests, I think.
Right, I remember, yeah.
So I will do this one, the new ones, because I think they will be easy. No, this one is bullshit. Right, then I see the new ones first, just to see if they can quickly be done. Okay, I see one comment here.
Oh yeah, that pull request was awaiting some feedback to prevent a new reference exception.
Let's see. This one I think is easy. I saw the bug. Disable theme part. Okay, this is the part that you can attach the content type. So when the display, the detailed display type is rendered, there will be no theme on it. And she's fixing something. Disable theme summary admin. It. Yeah, I need to look at the current code. I'm not sure this is a solution. So as a well, because I don't remember how this part works. And I think it's wrong actually. So disable part. Well, thing. Okay, so this is not fixing a bug, this is just adding some information on the editor so that you know that it won't be displayed in the theme. But it's not fixing the bug. Yep, this has nothing to do with the bug. Okay. This will be the comment. With the bug. And I'm adding the fix to the work item. Admin filter that is applied. Admin filter that is applied. And do the current code. Submit. I agree, active, okay, fine, and this one. Boom. This one, disable, this was the same. Okay. What's new since last? Oh, it's a new one? Yes.
I applied the changes that you asked, but I kept on looking because it still didn't make sense, and I found that that was actually the root of the problem. those lines that are commented below. If a content item, well, it would always add the save button and would add the publish button if the content was draftable. It actually should always have the publish button, and the save button should be added if the content was draftable. If this were always the case, then none of my changes previously would have been needed.
Okay, because by default, if you're not draftable, the save button will publish. That's it.
Well, no, that's a result of my changes.
Are you sure?
But, yeah, as a result of my changes, if you're not draftable, the save button now publishes. But if you look at this mistake right here, the save button should have only been presented to draftable content, and the publish button should always be presented.
So editor, it's returning the content shape save. So right now it's the pink one. Save button. And if it's draftable, it's returning the publish button. So this is what I said. So the pink is the current behavior, and it says always display the save button, and if it's draftable, also display the publish button, which means we always have a save button. And if it's not draftable, this is the only thing we have. And what happens when we click on save, it will actually publish it because there is no draft.
Okay. I got the impression that was backwards.
Well, I see pink, so and this is a behavior we can see. Not sure it will work. Let it build. And what you're doing here is always show the publish button, and if it's draftable, also show the save button. Slow. Oh yes, because then the save button currently will check if it's draftable or not to see
Right.
what the behavior should be.
Right.
So it's saying, okay, we only have a save button, and based on the context, we'll do publish or save.
And if it were like this, then all the other changes that I made, if you go look in the changes tab, the changes that I made to all those controllers wouldn't have been necessary to such an extent. Because here I'm considering the possibility that they are a draft. Or that they may not be a draft, when they are always draftable.
It's this way because of usability. When you're on the screen and you just see a publish button, well, that makes sense if it's not draftable. Most content are draftable. So you will have the button publish. There is another solution actually. There is another solution. Let's say we keep the behavior of always showing a save button and optionally save publish. And in this case, save will draft and publish will be published. But in the first case, save, if there is only save, it will publish. So we can always change the shape itself so that it issues a publish post if we click on save and there is only save.
Isn't that already the case? What are we fixing here? Because if we hit save, it will publish. If it's not draftable.
The bug first started where if a content item was not draftable and it had the published later part attached, the content would never publish. and that was the bug that I started fixing. But I looked at what caused the buttons, and then I questioned whether or not I should have fixed the bug, and if not, I should have just done this, which I think would take away half the code that I wrote already. But I'm not sure. I think someone just has to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I think if we make that fix here, then some of the other changes that I made in the controller are unnecessary, because the controller is checking if the content is draftable, when the case would now become that the content is always draftable, since it's going to the save button.
Maybe a stupid question, but so let's say you have a non-draftable content and you would like to publish it later. So with these changes you just made, you would immediately publish it because you have the button that immediately publishes it, which...
As a result of our last conversation, the decision was to immediately publish it and display a warning, which is what happens now.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Well, the warning will be about... Yeah. First, there is a warning which says you have a publish later on non-draftable item, so there is an issue. But still, doing publish later will just publish.
Or maybe instead of rendering the
Yeah.
publish later button and the content item, the content type is not draftable, it should just render, hey, this is not going to work.
So isn't the solution just not to render the publish later?
Right.
If it's not draftable?
Mm-hmm.
And that's easy to check.
Instead of a warning. We could still have a warning. I don't know, but publish later doesn't make sense if you're not
Doesn't make
draftable.
sense if it's not draftable.
Are you thinking, Stanley?
He agrees.
He agrees where?
I think some of the logic that I wrote in the controller to check if it's draftable should just go away, and then everything else is fine, I think. I just need someone to double check me.
Yeah, but the initial issue is the publish later.
Well, publish later requires that content be draftable.
Yes. So if we don't display this button, if the content is not draftable, there is no issue.
If you don't display...
Yeah, so the publish later part, its driver would include logic to see, for example, order view, whatever. It would check if the content
publish
type
later
of the content
isn't-
item is draftable. If it's not draftable, then it doesn't make sense to do a publish later. So it would either render a label stating that fact or not render at all. I think it's better to render a message to the user instead of the publish later part to clarify that the publish later part is not going to work because the content type is not draftable. Because that way it's clear to the user that there's no bug, because maybe the user attaches the publish later part to a type and then suddenly it doesn't appear. Then the user might think, hey, this is a problem. He needs to be instructed that the content type also needs to be draftable. I think that it's
Yeah, the hint
that's
text.
the easiest implementation. What's that?
The hint text for publish later part should be updated then. You know, the one that is displayed when you are attaching a content part to a content type. So the hint text should be updated according to that, stating that you should have this content draftable if you want to use publish later.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we don't have to update the controllers or anything else.
Not to render which shape if the content is the publish later shape?
Yeah. Publish later part driver.
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
And what about that final scenario? Should the save button always be displayed, or should the publish button always be displayed?
Save should also always
Yeah,
be displayed. That's
don't
the current
change.
behavior.
Don't change anything because it's been there since day one. Even the controller has this behavior coded.
Okay, could you just write down to undo the changes in the contents driver? Just so I don't forget.
On a related note, would it make sense to change the caption of the save button to save draft to make it more clear? I noticed that new users are sometimes confused what save means and publish now means. Sometimes they do save first and then hit publish because they aren't sure if publish now will also save the item.
Preview publish.
You can save it as a draft then?
I don't know. Status.
Status draft.
So it's different. You have a. Well, that's weird. Bar. And I will say status draft. And then you see save. So publish and save. So shut up. And same thing. Pending submit for review. Interesting.
Well, let's stick with save.
This is new. Everything here is new. This is a new editor. I don't know on which. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's a test. That's not mine. That's weird. I won't touch anything. Yeah, so we can keep save and publish. Maybe it's just about a hint. So when you hover it, you know what it does, but I will not change anything. Just do that. Other issues later. Route content tokens.
Why are we starting with the latest pull request? Because there are
Because
Sorry.
Why not? They seem interesting.
Okay, but there are pull requests waiting since a year or something like this.
Yeah, doesn't seem.
Yeah, it's maybe not fair to the.
Yeah, let's finish these ones then. But maybe also the ones from 1 year, we lost the developers. They lost confidence and they are so desperate they don't care anymore about Orchard, and we don't want to
quite on the contrary for the majority of the cases.
Okay, let's see these ones.
Yeah, so let's try and keep those contributors.
Content tokens not evaluated correctly when using a projection. One is hard. This is wrong. Okay. Went to the code. We'll see. So how do we get the old ones? Last page?
Go to the last page, yeah.
Okay, multi-search form. Then fixing I8 uploads and that. So multi-search forms.
This awaits some changes from Richard.
I know how it should be implemented, so I hope it's this way. Media library file upload in I8. Media library pick a field carrying values which aren't part of shape group.
Oh,
You
actually,
fix it?
my
Fix it
my
now?
issue was yeah, I'll duplicate. Yeah, I consulted with Sipka and I pushed the fix yesterday.
So please close. Let's close this one.
Okay.
I saw something. Where are you?
Yeah, right there.
But this is content picker field, not media picker field.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so it's the same issue then. Okay, I will check it out then.
Yeah, they are copy pastes though. So I don't do anything.
Please assign it to me so I will get a notification.
So this one.
We are not on the last page, by the way.
Well, we are still on the last page, no?
No, it's not the last page. It's the last button.
5.
Mm.
I already did this one, this one, this one, and I'm trying this one. And
Yeah, but there's a 6th page.
why? I see 5. Oh, there is next. Why? Oh, so stupid.
Bad UX.
Oh, that's... Okay, it was the 3s. Okay. Extended. Oh. I know one I will close.
Oh, it's a fork by Sipka. Must be really old.
What's that?
Blog plus list.
It's a fork by you.
Oh. Maybe. It's already done.
This is very slow.
Coplex or blogs or lists.
Every week at the same time. I don't know if you find last week.
Yeah, last week was also slow.
Beginning was very fast and then it became slow. Okay, this one in the meantime. Extended menu permission. You can apologize, that's unacceptable. Phew. Okay, this is fine, it's just creating a new menu, there are no menus already. Then, load menus. Oh yes, I remember I asked him to do that. Menus. And there should be a dynamic permissions, correct. Okay. So what's blocking?
There are some issues.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. So the issue is just to be able to display the main manage menu item, manage menu in the navigation. That's it. Disable, but if you do that, the navigation admin menu item won't be. Yeah. So this is easy. In the navigation, where is the menu? Where is the module? For here, zipcode has something like this. In core navigation, there must be an admin menu. Here is just adding the main menu. Sorry. Yes, here, if you have the manage main menu permission, what it needs to do is look at the current user, check if he has the manage menu permission. If so, add this item. Otherwise, check if there is a menu he can manage. And then also add that. Is it clear? Okay. And by the way, this could be the same code, exactly the same code for the lists and other pages where we manage the content. Well, this is interesting because the lists are displayed in the admin menu, and we might only want to show the list that we can change. We can delete, and also be able to manage different lists. And maybe same thing for taxonomies. And this could be extended to other items, but yeah. Okay.
So lists are shown on the admin menu based on a checkbox. So you're saying only if you have the manage permission.
What I'd like to do for lists is have permissions for them, each of them. Like, can I manage list is a permission? That's fine. We did that recently, actually. But it's manage all list or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a website, for instance, where they have 5-6 different lists, like for slides, for different content types, and they want only one person to only change the slides.
Okay.
So they have to assign only the manage list and no other thing. That's fine, but they can change all the list then. So we talked about it, I think, last time or 2 weeks ago. The idea will be for list to show custom permission like he did for the menus. And you could say manage list 1, manage list 2, and manage list 3. and there will be some more granularity. We don't want it for all the content items in Orchard, but for specific categories that make sense, like list, like maybe taxonomies. Menu makes sense too, but in list I would like it. If you don't do it, I will do it. Don't do it. So.
And why don't we use the content permissions part?
This could be done this way. I don't disagree, but I think it's nicer to have it in permissions.
It certainly is. I'm just a bit worried about implementing something.
I'm just a bit worried about using content permission, enabling content permissions for that. It's not inventing, it's using the permission event handlers because they have been done for that. Exactly.
So you would list the lists in the permissions screen. So if you check and uncheck the permissions per role in that screen, that's where you would show them.
Yep. So we can't do that for all the content items, and this is why we have content item permissions part. Because if we did that for all the content items, the permission screen will be as huge as the content items you have. This is unusable.
Yeah.
Lists define categories of usually content types. There are links to a content type. Okay. So you will never have hundreds of lists.
Right.
This is why it can be done in the permission page.
So okay, instead of
same
doing
thing for menus, you will never have 100 menus. So there are first-class elements in your website, list and menus, and blogs also, as opposed to content items.
Yeah.
And this is also why we show them on the menu, on the admin menu.
That's true.
Would it make sense to mark these content types with a specific stereotype too?
Good idea. Let's see. That's a good idea actually. Or
yeah, because these permissions could be automatically generated for any content type.
I agree. This is always the same case. It's just a content item, and as you said, technically it's just a content item permission. We already have a part. What then could be done? Content item permission is a module, isn't it? Content item permissions, it's a module. So what we could do in this module is a feature which could automatically create the permissions for content item of specific types in the permissions page. And we have two solutions, as Medek suggested, a stereotype, or better, a settings in the type, a checkbox.
Yeah, actually Sika mentioned something similar recently. Permissible or something like that.
What? Oh, permissible? Who said that?
I think it was Sika, I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Well,
recall, at least.
It was me. I said permissible.
Sorry, yeah, it was you, Stanley, okay.
So, and
permissible,
this might be better, reusable. We don't have to copy paste the same code again and again, and that's good. And it will please Zoltan, because don't reinvent everything.
That's what matters.
Okay, I like it. Everyone agrees about a type setting.
Yeah.
And a feature in the content item permissions. Everything makes sense.
Makes sense.
Everything makes sense. I like it. The only issue will be that list will not have it by default, or list will require content item permissions. That doesn't bother me. That lists require content item permissions. Or we make it a framework settings.
Right, because you can define multiple lists. But so you're talking about the scenario where you don't create custom content types using the container part? but where you create multiple lists and you want to configure per list who has permissions to edit
it's
that
only
list.
the list. The list. Do you have a list part? No, there is no list part.
No, there's a container part, but there's a list content type, I think. Yeah. Yeah, and the list content type has a container part, but you
So
can.
this is different then.
Well, if you want to maintain permissions,
But
no,
so
it's
this
the
isn't
same.
a,
It's
this
using
isn't
the content type part, and then if that permissible setting is checked on the content type, for example, in this case,
Okay.
the list content type,
But
all of its items of the list type will appear in the permissions list, right?
but today when I create a custom list on the admin menu, it's not a specific content type. I mean,
No, you don't have to. No, you can just
well,
configure it.
so the purpose of this new feature will not work.
Why? Because if you
Because
have multiple list items, list content items, they would permissions would appear for those content items in the permission screen if the permissible setting is checked on the list content type, right?
Nope.
So how is the permissible setting implemented?
Okay, you might be right. When I have a list on my left, it's always a list content type.
It could be, it doesn't have to be, but out of the box, yes.
Okay. I will look at the website I have in mind. Taxonomy will work. Blog posts would work. Sorry, blog post. Blogs will work because they are all blogs and they're on the left. And the menu, so we just need to check if we can do something. Manage. We have to test it. Let's try it and we have to test it. It might not work. Okay. Someone will create a work item. I'm sure Benedek. What is this about? Were we talking about that or something else? Something else. Okay, being evaluated. This one. You see, I commented on the 5th of March.
Yeah, I actually added a comment in the layouts feature brands because I wanted to use the prefix, but it's not being used. But it would be nice to fix. I was too lazy to fix it. But he fixed it, apparently.
So this is default for manager. Oh, so this is a valid point?
But what is this about, really?
Well, if you use the Form Manager API to generate forms based on the Forms Manager API using the editor shapes, if you build the editor, you can specify a prefix, but that prefix is not being used. So if you, for example, build a shape based on multiple form providers, if each form provider uses a name for an input field that has the same name as the input field of the other form, that will collide, right? So that's why you need prefixes, but that prefix is not being used. It does use it when updating the forms, but it doesn't render the prefix when building the form.
Cool. Then this is useful.
This is very useful.
Very.
For my purposes, at least. Because in practice, we currently don't have multiple forms using the Form Manager API. For example, the workflows module always renders a single form. There's and the rules engine, same story. But the layouts feature can supports multiple forms. So when you implement a element, you can, instead of implementing your own editor, you can also choose to use the Forms API, and you can specify 0 or more form names that you want to present to the user when editing the settings of a element.
But it's a prefix on the shape name. Or name is the name of the attribute, okay. But what I don't get is, look at the code. So it has the shape, okay? And it says I have a prefix and I have shapes. And for each of the shape, it says when you are about to be displayed, call append prefix.
Oh, but
Which itself does recursively append prefix, and in the end just change the name. Why
I
not
don't
change
like
the
that.
name at this level directly instead of doing on displaying?
Oh, shape that name. Okay, name is it's. I thought he was changing the type name, but that's not the case. Prefix.
Oh yeah, this can I close it? Yeah, I can.
All of these commits. Thanks, but no thanks.
It's public constants. So what's
Are these constants used in more places than just the?
no?
So then it's
I don't see what's the point.
there's no point then.
I use declarative security.
But he can't access the permission name through the static permission objects, can't he?
Oh wait, there are some reason. Oh, it does that. Okay, I see now.
Oh.
This is interesting because in ASP.NET Next, I implemented this, the authorize attribute. And in the previous versions of ASP.NET, you could only do declarative permissions. So you had an attribute, that's it. So what we did for ASP.NET Next is we have an attribute, but the default implementation is service-based, like we have in Orchard. Okay, it's completely inspired by Orchard. And what he wants to do is the old way, actually. That's funny. What's the risk?
There is no risk in the code, but there's the risk of giving a practice. I mean, if the practices or in the core we have the practice that for every permission basically we have a public static field, then everybody will do that without actually thinking about it.
Well, you mean if the new practice becomes declaring the permission names as constant strings, then everybody is gonna do that, which is fine, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I say that.
So there's no
So
risk.
I say that the risk is probably a bit of confusion, or the desire to change everything by module authors.
which is fine. They don't have to, but they can if they want to.
Yeah, but if you don't do it everywhere,
Yeah, sure.
We should do it everywhere, but module developers can choose whatever they want to. They should, but we can't enforce them writing good modules anyway.
well, I could advocate the other way and say you can create a class with all the constants you want and use it. In your orchard authorization class, you can add all the constants of the permissions you want to check. And actually, you will always check for publish content or edit content, and that's it. Otherwise, it's in your module. So I remember it was a decision not to do that for us. Even internally, so a developer mentioned it, wanted to do that, and we agreed on not doing that. When I say we, it was the initial team.
Do we still agree?
There is so actually I don't think this is a very good argument, because in the background the same authorized service call happens.
Sorry, what? I didn't get.
So in the background the same authorized service call happens. So it's basically just another way of specifying which permission you want to use.
I agree.
Yeah, and if you want to include more logic, then you can always still do that. As is currently
It's
done.
not preventing you from doing the programmative way. I agree. But it forces us to create constants because you would like to do that.
Mm.
And I don't really want to have to do constants every time I create a permission and release a constant.
Mm.
And I could argue that you will ever use only 2 or 3 different permissions: edit, publish, and view for the content. Any other permission is module specific and is usually only used by the module where the permission is. So if you create a module and you want to use these permissions, you can do constants.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in that case, there's no harm in just using a string.
If you don't want to use a string here, you as a
You can
developer
create it
can create a constant
yourself. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the best way to go.
You can even do a module in your dev that will have the attribute and the permission constants if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can always say, but if you change the name, then my name changes. But we will never change the name of edit content. It will be a breaking change, a major revision, all the permissions will be broken.
Right, and even if we did change, it would still break his module, because he would have to update. Because we would never, if we were to use constants and change its value, we would also want to change the name of the constant, and that wouldn't automatically update his module. He would have to do that manually anyway.
Can I use we or should I use I?
Well, I agree with not doing it. So
Um, how do you say standoffish and condescendent?
Those are the right words, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Someone has to be standoffish and condescendent. Let's vote for no. Good. I have this pop-up appearing every time. So this one was that. Permission names. So you see, I can go on page 5. Told you. Actually, page here is not the page here. But I'm on page 5, but it says page 4. So, multi-search form. Oh, you are waiting for somebody. Okay. Okay, this one we talked about. Okay, Stanley. What is it about? December 20th.
Skip that one. I need to break it up and resubmit it.
What is it about? Crazy.
A long day.
Drivers. Wow, what is it about? What are you doing?
Another day. Another day.
What is it?
I'll do it in smaller pieces, and then I'll have an easier time convincing people.
What is it?
Well,
The
okay,
software is
it's a
killing
couple
us.
of things. It's projections always output an RSS link. That's one thing that's done there. Another thing is that there is a value in the projection part called items per page that is in the part but isn't used by the driver, and there's a logic bug because of it. But I think I'm the only one that notices because I'm the only one that uses projections in a funny way. I use projections to display parts of the same query. So I'll use a projection to display elements 1, 2, 3, display an add, and then display elements 4, 5, and 6. Because this value isn't used by the projection part driver, you can't do that. But there are a lot of different...
I'm on a website with that.
I don't see how. But let me break it up into smaller pieces, and I'll resubmit this pull request in smaller pieces.
Yeah, smaller pieces.
Yeah, very much so.
This was you. Okay. Okay, I will look at the code. And publish. Okay, later. Too late. Agree? So next week we start on this one?
Yeah.
So it was a good hour. Suspense is killing. What is a UAV?
Unmanned air vehicle.
What?
Unmanned air vehicle. There was some noise. I think it was coming from you. It was like a drone or something like that.
No, lots of gardeners here. It's
Yeah.
very green,
Okay.
so yeah, more workers. Okay, thanks everyone. See you next
Thanks,
week.
guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take it easy.